on. Taking the chance, stuck in my head, not gonna leave it at that. Taking the lead, feeling your heat, just wanna give you my best. I don't even know your name, but you got me, 'cause you're all to die. We don't know what happens next, but you got me, 'cause I'm next to none. You make it look so easy, making me feel so dreamy. Never wanna pay for drinks, but you got me, 'cause you're all to die. Got me locked in now. Go ahead and take a shot. Do you really want me? Maybe you're just playing. The way you're making it move, yeah, you do it so smooth. Make it all about you. Can have it all if you want. Taking the chance, stuck in my head, not gonna leave it at that. Taking the lead, feeling your heat, just wanna give you my best. Taking the chance, stuck in my head, not gonna leave it at that. Won't you tell me what I'm supposed to do? Yeah. High and low, in between, acting out, make a scene. Working on our body language, working on our body language. Baby, now tell me exactly how you feel. I'm just trying to keep it real. Let me love you on the inside, love you on the inside. Tell me exactly what you mean. You mean everything to me. Let me love you on the inside, love you on the inside. Dance on the beat. I don't want no excuses. You keep me feeling so clueless. I'd like to dream. Keep on dreaming about us, baby. Yeah. Now tell me exactly how you feel. I'm just trying to keep it real. Let me love you on the inside, love you on the inside. Tell me exactly what you mean. You mean everything to me. Let me love you on the inside, love you on the inside.
Hey guys, welcome to Real Talk with the Ladies on the 5F's to Love. You know, I guess you guys are wondering, I saw some different faces in that promo. We switched it up a bit just for tonight. That's all. We're going to have a conversation, folks, about something that I think all women need to talk about. See, when you talk about a G-spot, a lot of us think of it as sexual, but it's not. It's more than that. It's who we are as women. It's our transition from being a young woman into womanhood to being who we are today. So we're going to talk about that journey. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think this conversation is going to be so much. We're going to be doing a part 2. I'm going to tell you right now, I think this is going to be a part 2er. I'm excited about it because I just want to say we're going to introduce our guests. So every person that comes on tonight, these are our co-hosts for tonight. And let me roll it out. Y'all know Precious is here. I don't even know we talking about Precious.
I don't even know. I don't know if they're ready. I don't know.
I'm just so excited about tonight because we've got 2 major women who play in this ballpark, and this is what they do. This is their specialty. I'm going to tell you right now, Ramil, why you got to come on with your whole podcast look? Why you got to do that?
So weird.
I can't help it.
I need my mic. I need all of that happening right now.
Yes.
I'm loving it. So Ramil, what we're going to do is, and I want to, for people to understand who each person is, but before we get started, before I introduce you to everybody, I need to bring in Dr. Mac, because Dr. Mac, I mean, real talk. And Dr. Mac, you're on mute. If you can unmute yourself for me.
I'm here.
Dr. Mac, you be on the road and everywhere talking about this. You got programs in Chicago in the school districts. You got platforms. You professoring at the universities and stuff. You with the CDC, the HPDs, and all of that.
I love it.
I don't even know what to say. I feel like I should be like this to y'all. Like, thank you for coming on. You know, my little
Oh,
network. I don't even know what to say. Thank you for coming on my little network. You
Thank
know?
don't
you.
start. Mm-mm.
Okay, so look, just I want you guys to be familiar with everybody. So I'm just going to give you my quick elevator speech. For all of you who are joining us for the first time, you probably see me 1,000 times. You guys have no idea. My first life, I was a chemist. I was a chemist for several years working at DuPont. I made the transition and I have multiple degrees. I'm finishing up my PhD in psychology and technology, and I'll be finishing like 2 seconds in a flash. But you still call me Chris. You don't have to call me Dr. Burkett or Dr. Chris. A lot of people call me Dr. Chris now. You don't have to, because all of them degrees and I got too many masters, it don't make a difference. We're here to service you. And just to let you guys know, I own 3 different companies. 5F's to Love was a concept and an idea that was developed from an app, because as a techie, I had a hard time relating to people. So I created a compatibility app that would help me cut through the hard conversation of, are we compatible? So I send you a link, and if you match my top 5, then that means we can continue the conversation. If not, I put you in a category of friend or somebody I just know, and that's okay. I just want to cut through the chase. But the thing is, from that company, I was able to identify who I am. Real talk, my real company is PICF Inc. I'm the only female Black-owned IT consulting firm in the state of Michigan. And I just started a nonprofit called Michigan Youth STEM, which is Michigan Youth Stay. And we help schools across the state of Michigan, and we're going to pilot this across multiple other states. And someone who's not on the call today, I know y'all used to seeing Roz. Roz is celebrating her birthday, y'all. We're going to keep it real. She didn't turn 60. She didn't turn 60, so she's with her family having dinner. But she said she's gonna be in comments. So Roz, don't be acting like that. Sheila is doing some stuff. She's busy doing work, but Sheila promised, she called me, she's gonna be in comments. So don't y'all act like that. Join the conversation. I'm so used to them being here. And Toy, guys, she's out. Toy's gonna be in and out of a podcast platform. She is actually launching her major brand and relaunching her own platform. So I try to support everybody that's here and make sure everybody can get breaks when they need it. So you're going to see the faces changing, but y'all know, all right, ladies, we're going to have real talk. So I'm going to tell you right now, y'all already know who Precious is. We can skip Precious because she's the pitch master, the queen of the pitches, making it happen, moving and shaking, doing what she do. But y'all already know that about Precious. So we're going to introduce our 2 new people, which is Dr. Mack and then Ramel. So Ramel, we're going to start with you. We're going to end with Dr. Mack. Introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ramel Anderson. I am an entrepreneur. I own a company called To The Point Signature Services. I've been doing that for 15 years now, and that's lots of fun. But what I love doing is being a podcast host for the Girl Can I Ask You Something podcast. Okay. And so that's my joy. And I spend time with my best girlfriend, and we talk about everything that women of our age, as we're going through this phase and changing and seeing ourselves differently, we talk about all those things that matter to us, whether it's career, family, just enjoying this new journey that we're in, watching our kids go off to school, all that kind of fun stuff. So that's my joy right now.
Well, thank you for coming on my little humble podcast, because yours is awesome and we're going to keep it real. Okay, Dr. Mack, just go ahead on. Just roll out all your roll it out.
I mean, I'm going to roll it out. I am going to say I'm Dr. Harita McDowell, and Dr. Mack is everything that falls under the brand Black Women in Sex. I am a community psychologist by trade, and I research Black women and how we communicate about sex. From that came a book, because I was blessed to get, I'm at over 1,000 stories that have been shared with me, because I love that Black women are storytellers, and that is how I pull the data out of us. And from that data, wrote a book, Black Women, Sex, and the Lies Our Mothers Told Us, which is just a conversation starter for us to use over Thanksgiving and Christmas when we want to start those conversations. And my work really leverages unlearning a lot of things and really just learning some things for the very first time, so Black women understand how much was erased from history as it relates to our sexual happiness. And I think that my work and my research bled over into the nonprofit world, because I wanted this information to be given as soon as possible. So Pretty is my nonprofit, and it partners with Chicago Public Schools because I'm here on the south side of Chicago. And there we talk to 5th to 12th grade students that identify as women about all of their choices and all of the experiences that they may have the opportunity to engage in regarding sex without promoting abstinence or marriage. So we're here to kind of give them freedom that maybe some of us didn't have the opportunity to have for various reasons. So that's what I do. And Christine, when you finish and you become a part of the 1%, honey, we're going to call you Dr. Christine. Because a lot of us decide to not say that and try to, feed into this idea of humility when we work damn hard to get these letters.
Yes.
So yeah, when you finish, I'm going to send you a dozen roses and it's going to say, welcome, doctor.
Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you. I'm going to tell you.
Listen, that was beautiful.
I know, like that means a lot because I'm going to tell you, I look at, you guys can't see it, but in my studio, my mother used to say to me, you work so hard for all of those degrees. And my first degree is in chemistry and one of my masters is in chemistry. And I used to say to her, well, because I'm good with it. She said, no, you were the first in our family to do it. You need to be proud of your accomplishments. Can you put them on the wall so when I come to your house, I can see them? And my parents aren't living, but I'm going to tell you right now, every time I look at this wall, I think of my parents, and I think that's so important because I want them to be proud of what I do. And this platform is a part of that. So I'm going to tell y'all real quick, before we get into the conversation, I need to share one thing with everybody. It's a quick commercial break because we need to talk about our Black men. Our Black men need to be supported by Black women. And because of that, one of my really good friends, he's in his 40s and he has prostate cancer. And he had to put a call in to me and say, you have a platform. Can you please put together something to tell people to please tell their husbands, their uncles, their brothers to please check their prostate. So this is for you. You know who you are. I don't do shout outs like that, but all right. I hope you're watching. Here we go. Be right back after this commercial break.
We know what you made of. I do better offline. Yeah. I've been calling to a guy. I'm in tune with the signs. I'm just trying to let go. I'm just trying to be me. I'm just trying to do Moon landed with the elevation. Arm strong with the levitation. My third eye needed calibration. That was heat rock when I notated. I've been going crazy. Stone face when I kill beat. Leaving no trace on location. Premeditated. Hey.
All right, guys, we're back and we're live. If you want to leave your comments, please do. We do share them while we're having our conversation. I don't want y'all to think we just having real talk and we're not inviting y'all. You're invited to this conversation. So, ladies, the first thing is when we talk about this conversation, I know the title caught a lot of people off guard because I think they thought we were going to be talking about everything but what we get ready to talk about, which is the journey. So the thing is, that's the reason why my first question out the box is when you heard G-spot, what pops in your head? And each person has 2 minutes to respond. So I'm going to start with you, Precious. What popped in your head when you heard G-spot?
When I first heard G-spot, I thought of
Yeah.
Isn't that place in your body, in your like vagina or somewhere in there, that once it's hit, it's like all the stuff gushes out and you're just having a great time. Maybe it's where you have your orgasm and everything. Obviously, I don't know where mine is, so that's what I thought of when I heard of.
So you read the title, okay? So remember, already go ahead, Ramel.
Well, for me, when we were talking and you first told me what the title was going to be, my first instinct was people get caught up in the location, but it's not the location that so many of us have issue with. It's not the actual physical G-spot. It's everything else that comes along with us finding pleasure. I think the G-spot, we think of it as being the holy grail, right? But it's really encompassing so much more in terms of the way your partner makes you feel in that moment. And the G-spot is great, but I always see it as more than just that location. I feel like it's about the experience of having sex, getting to that point where it just it feels really good, So I just felt like it's more encompassing than that one little physical space on your body.
Everybody thinks so.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Mack, what about you? Because you teach it.
I call it the good spot and the only button I'm allow you to push. And I do agree with Rumel that it's all encompassing, but this is one spot that if you have the patience and the capacity to sit still in a space, it's gratitude. And what you feel like is your body saying, thank you so much.
You know what? And for me, because I try not to be the person, I don't want to feel like I'm Oprah and I'm not answering the question. Somebody said, Chris, don't be Oprah. And that would be Roz. But Roz not on here because don't Roz do that to me, Precious. She'll go,
Don't be
are
Oprah.
you answering the question? Like, don't be Oprah. So for me, when the reason why I came up with that title, G-Spot, because I knew it would make women pay attention, but I wanted them to understand it's not about what you think it is. It's the total opposite. So for me, when I think G-Spot, I think about mind, I think about mental, physical, and spiritual. Because to me, when you're with the right person, and that whole train, it's like you're floating. It's like a whole moment. But the moment is not about what you think it's about. It's about that connection. See, that's what it's a mental, it's a physical, it's a whole movement happening. So that's the reason why I wanted to ask that question. But the biggest thing is the conversation tonight is how we made that evolution. And the evolution of Robin Thicke, by the way, I love that album. I'm not promoting it, but I do love it because it made me think about the evolution of women and how we started. So my next question is relevant to that. What was the first thing your mother or family said to you when you started your transition into womanhood? And each person has 2 minutes. And Ramel, I'll start with you. What did they tell you about this transition to womanhood?
My mother gave me a book, and it was very like, this is your body and this is how it works. And by the way, don't get pregnant. You know what I mean? I mean, just realistically, and I know that my mother didn't mean me any harm or anything. It's just probably what was done with her. She probably gave me more than what she got. Right?
Okay.
You know? And so but I didn't get a lot. I didn't get a lot. When I went to college, I remember my mom told me, about like setting some boundaries with boys,
Right.
but she reminded me that all men are dogs and, basically don't get pregnant while you're at school. That was the extent of it. And like I
That was
said,
it.
I imagine that she thought she was doing the very best for me in that moment, but and that she probably didn't even get that when she went off to school. Right.
Right.
And so you have I give her that space because I can only do the best that I can do with the tools that I have.
Yep.
So that was basically my experience um in terms of what
The
my
transition. Okay,
Mhm.
so what about you, Precious, when you made that transition from being a young lady to a woman? We get our cycles, but I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think anybody's throwing a party.
I got my cycle later. So my cycle started when I was 16. And
Wow.
so my grandmother, she coddled a kid. She coddled the queen. And she was just like, baby, but we're not having babies, sorry, because I don't want you to lose all this. And I was like, all this? No, I'm gonna leave it to be the lifestyle in the hood. So she's like, you ain't hanging out at nobody's house. You ain't skipping school. You're not doing any of that because you're gonna go off to college and stuff like that. And that was the extent of it. Don't bring home no babies. Don't be fooling around in school. Don't be. Okay. So from my mother, my birth mother, it was no man's ever gonna want you. To my grandma being like, please don't bring home no babies. I'm like, there's a disconnect, but I'm gonna be cool though. I'm gonna be cool. That's what it was. Just don't bring home babies. And if you get locked up, I'm not coming to get you. Okay. All right.
Okay, that was a good trick. Okay.
Strange. Okay.
So, I'm going to tell you, my mom was super duper. And I think that's the reason why I started out so quiet because my mom was quiet. So I think that kind of transition for me. But my mother, two things. I was a tomboy and I was riding dirt bikes with boys. And my mother, the minute I had started my cycle, she says, well, you're not riding dirt bikes anymore. I didn't even understand why I couldn't. I was like, well, I can still ride a dirt bike. Why can't I ride a dirt bike? And then the next day, we had VCRs, as they say back in the day. She had a VCR. I think she had to ask a friend for a video,
okay.
right? So she invites me into her bedroom and she said, sit down, Christina. We sat down. She said, I want you to watch this. I said, okay. I didn't know what was happening. I'm still stuck on yesterday. I can't ride a dirt bike with the boys no more. I didn't know what was happening. She said she started the whole movie on the woman pushing the baby out. I started crying. I was like, what is happening? But guess what she said? If you don't want this to happen to you, you keep your legs closed and you stay away from them boys. You can't be playing with boys no more. And so I thought if I touched a boy, and in my mind, I'm only 13. I didn't know. I thought if I had touched a boy, I was going to be having a baby. So for me, I didn't lose my virginity till I was in college, 21. I didn't know what was happening. I thought I was touching boys. This was going down on the street. I didn't know. She scared the daylight. So in high school, my dad used to say, well, why Christine don't have a boyfriend? Why we the basement, we done redid the basement. And I didn't want to say, Daddy, mama said if I touch a boy, you know, I'm gonna be whatever. So Meek's Mind, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your support, watching us on YouTube. So Dr. Mack, I don't know, you probably like all of our experiences. You like, what happened, right, Dr. Mack?
No, because the good news is for years, all I did was talk to mother and daughter pairs about this exact thing.
Wow.
And I know my mother is probably watching and she may kill me, but she allowed my village to help. So she was not a mother that didn't want other women and other people to talk to me.
Okay.
I will say that was key, but she caught me masturbating. And it pushed us into a conversation because I was already navigating spaces and feeling around and seeing what things do.
Mm-hmm.
And within that space, she would have me do book reports and go to the library to learn about all different things, whether I was on punishment. So of course I snuck some sex books. I mean, because I'm thinking, you know, somebody's going to tell me something. But I have to bring up my ancestor, my Aunt Deborah, my mother's sister. She actually sat on the porch and in her own little way said, you're going to do it. You're going to like it. Wow. But it comes with a whole lot of responsibility. Oh. And it took the fear away from doing it. Mm-hmm. But I was like, what the hell are the responsibilities? So mom piggybacks, don't have no baby. Because this lifestyle and how you like things to go and be provided for you, we can't do it anymore. So it was directly connected to this could be an outcome of sex or that could be an outcome of sex, and how you gonna handle it? So they definitely offered me more than what was offered to them.
I like that, you know, those real conversation. Meek's Mind says, loving the chat, ladies. And thank you so much. We're hoping that it is beneficial for everyone. We want you to enjoy the conversation. So I'm going to tell you guys, because of that, the first guy, I brought him home from school. I thought we were supposed to get married and we were supposed to be together. So I brought him home from school and my parents met him. And that was the end of the story. That's what I thought the end of the story was. But to my surprise, it wasn't. So the thing is that, you know, when we think about that concept, my next question is very poignant for mothers. This is for mothers. Did you have a child before you had your first orgasm? Each person has 2 minutes. Did you have a child before you had an orgasm? And there's a reason why I'm asking that question, because I was in Chicago on business. And I saw a group of ladies sitting at a table with red hats on. If y'all watching, y'all know who y'all are. Hey,
the red hatters.
And I didn't know what the club was until they told me, the Red Hatters. That's what they told me. But I was ear hustling, and they were all older, and they had been married for 40, 50 years. And they were all talking about their sex life because they all girlfriends. And talking about, girl, what you gonna do? Your husband, you know, ain't something. He need to go to the doctor. She's like, you know, Joe ain't going to the doctor. Girl, he just acting like ain't nothing wrong. We both laying there, you know. So I went over to the table and I said, complimenting on their hat. And then I said to them, I said, well, can I ask y'all a quick question? I don't mean to be ear hustling. How many of you all have had orgasms? Only 3 of them have raised their hand. The rest, it was a group of 8 women. And so the one woman said, she said, no, but let me tell you what's happening. See, she said, for 50 years, my husband wants to have relations with me. She called it relations. Before he go to work, he need to have a relations. She said, now he have his relations and then he just going to work. She said, but I'm going to tell you, he ain't never asked me what I want, what's going to make me happy. She said, but I got a nice house. She said, a good husband. I got, 5 beautiful kids. She said, but that's what it is. And so my question to that was, because I think a lot of us had children before we even realized what we should be getting out of that experience, but on the making of the children, on the makings of. So that's the question. And so for me, I'll be honest with you, The answer is yes, I did, because I was with the guy, in college who was older than me. So, it was a whole, he actually talked to me, which I know is not normal. He actually talked to me and was asking me questions because he was timid about being with somebody who had not been with someone. He was timid. And we talked a lot. He was older, so that was good. But the thing is that that's a real conversation. So for you, Precious, you haven't had any children, but my question is, have you had that experience yet in your life, that aha moment during intimacy?
I started to fake it because I didn't know what it was. And can I just say something to Dr. Mack? Queen, thank you so much for saying what you did about your mother catching you. I was in the 3rd grade, and there's this 5th grader, don't know what his name is, don't even know what he looks like, but I knew my body was feeling certain things when I was around him. Right. And so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I didn't get caught until by my auntie when I was living in my grandparents' house, because my grandfather had a whole treasure chest of porn, and me and my cousin.
Oh, did
We
I?
would sit and watch like what you think he's gonna bring back from the flea market?
Oh, I stole his porn all the time.
Yeah, we didn't even have my granddad didn't just have Playboys. He had all kinds of stuff, and we were just, fascinated, right? And so my aunt one time, I was like, you know what? And you feel bad, but it's like, today I don't feel nothing. But thank you for saying that, because that was opening the door for me. So
Precious,
I did it was with myself. So maybe I hit my own G spot because I was feeling all, and I was thinking of thinking.
And that's okay if it was with yourself, but a lot of women
It
don't.
was with myself, but I remember 3rd grade.
Maxine, thank you so much for watching. She said, this is awesome. I love this question. So, okay. So, Ramel, did you have children first? What came first? What came second?
I had my first orgasm with I won't say my first orgasm. I will say that my husband and I met in college, and he is just very open. And he actually, I don't think guys really do this, but my husband did. He was very studious in terms of the female body. So he would actually go to the library. He would get books on how the female body works. And so he made it his mission to make sure that I was enjoying myself. He was very much, and still is, very much like, I need to make sure you're happy before I'm happy. And I think I really won the husband lottery when it comes to that, because I understand that that's not everybody's story. He always has made sure that we kind of journey through my body together, you know what I mean? And make sure that the things that I like, he's doing. The things I don't like, he doesn't do. And he's just kind of not, he's not picky about what he wants. He's going to get what he wants, you know what I mean? But through my pleasure, he's also getting pleasure. And so I am very fortunate because I have multiple orgasms every time, because he makes sure that is something that's paramount on his list. Check.
So you know what? And I think, Dr. Mack, before you respond, we gotta go to a quick commercial break. One of the takeaways, ladies, I want you to get from this is that your partner, when you with someone, has to be in tune to you as well. And that's so important. Like I said, the person I started out with was very in tune, and he was kind of like your husband. We talked.
Yeah.
We tested things that I was like, oh no, this is not a good idea. We didn't do it. We was over it. But it was great, because then that helped me. And I was with him for 6 years, and then so when I transitioned from that, at least I knew what was good for me, what worked for me. I didn't have to play around and try to figure it out with somebody who wasn't as attentive or concerned about me as a person. So Dr. Mack, when we get back, I'm going to ask you the real question about what's going on and how it impacts women health-wise, because this is really big. This is a much larger conversation than what we're having, and we're going to make that transition. So folks, we'll be right back after this commercial break.
that I'm never going back. Get it that I'm never going back. I get to it first, I got you mad. I guess that when I get to it last. Get it that I'm never going back. Get it that I'm never going back. Going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. Get it that I'm never going up, going up.
So, hey guys, welcome back to the second half of Real Talk with the Ladies, 5F's to Love Network. Thank you so much for watching us. If you missed the first half, we were talking about when you hear the word G-spot, what's the first thing that pops in your mind to what you were told when you became a woman, the transition of womanhood. And I think that this conversation, the reason why I started out with those three questions is so now we can understand men have a different conversation than women. So when men are taught something totally different, so if you take the same 13-year-olds, male and female, she's told to save herself and guard it, it's a precious treasures, you know, and he's told, go sow your oats, just go and, you know, be careful, don't get nobody pregnant, but have fun. See, those are two different conversations. So by the time you grow up and you meet this man in college or after college, he's had a boatload of experience and you over here marinating in, this is the Garden of Eden. We just holding it. No experience. So then you marry him and you assume that this person's going to walk you through like Ramel's husband walked her through in the little honey, you don't get somebody like that. So what happens is you just end up doing what makes that person happy. You don't know if you've identified what made you happy. So then that's when we get that. Now we growing apart because the older you get, you're hearing your girlfriends and everybody around you is having a good experience with their mate. And you like, well, my sex life is not that great. Then you wonder why your health is being impacted, your weight, your mental stability. All of this is happening because of one thing, a conversation that you were told when you was transitioning to being a woman. Because now you feel like you got to keep everything like this instead of just talking and being free with that conversation. So I'm going to ask you, Dr. Mack, are you aware of your sexual experiences are related to your health? Or for example, your mental health, heart attacks, high blood pressure, and obesity. We talked about that earlier, but I guess the people, I need to ask y'all, are y'all aware? Because Dr. Mack about to tell us. She about to break it all down.
I am, but I'm gonna bring us all the way back.
Come on now.
To the orgasm question. And the reason why I'm bringing us back to that is because before we can talk about men, before we can talk about another race, before we can talk about anything outside of ourselves, we have to first talk about the responsibility of pleasure that we should have to ourselves before we put it on somebody else, because that makes you powerless. Mm-hmm. And if you give somebody absolute power over your pleasure, that's exactly how you can be controlled. Because like you said, if you've never experienced an orgasm, you've never experienced a certain level of pleasure, if somebody offers that to you on a silver platter and you don't know how to get it yourself, that's a lot of control. Mm-hmm. So while I am absolutely happy that there are husbands and there are men out here that will be patient with you, it's always a blessing to have a patient man. It's always a blessing to have a man that will take the time to understand your body and understand every little nook and cranny to help you have orgasms. But the good God-given thing is you can give them to yourself. And if you have the opportunity to give them to yourself, then that enhances your experience with a partner, because research just showed us in an article in Women's Health in March of 2022 that we can have up to 20 multiple orgasms in one experience.
At one time?
In one experience. And what I mean by one experience is from your start until when you and your partner decide to finish. Mm-hmm. And I would say that we have to go all the way back and understand different parts of research that were kind of erased. So when we think about our bodies as women and we read about things in sexual education, we think of our reproductive organs as means to reproduce. So when I
Exactly.
talk about means to reproduce, when we think about the 1858 or 1901 publication of Gray's Anatomy, which is where all of our anatomy books and sexual education resources come from, it talked about the clitoris. And then in 1948, the clitoris was completely erased from the publication because the reality of the situation is if you teach a girl that she can be self-soothing and that she has the anatomy to release and end anxiety, lose weight, sleep better, handle her own stress, that's a lot of power to give somebody going into a relationship as a whole person. And we have to think about who can capitalize off of women being completely unaware.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll leave that as a fill in the blank because we already know who and what that is. But our jobs as a village and as a community is to start with mental health awareness that creates confidence and body positivity. And that starts with mom making you comfortable with your nudity, mom making or trying her best to make you comfortable with having sexual conversations and telling the truth. When it comes to our history within the Black family, our mothers protect us by any means. And what we know with Black history in America, I cannot advocate for how beautiful my daughter is or how beautiful her curves are or how articulate and brilliant she is because you can take her.
Right.
And in 2022, you can traffic her. You can still snatch her and rape her and abuse her. So we haven't been conditioned to put sex, sexuality, and orgasm at the top of the priority list as it relates to what we communicate about.
Okay, Dr. Mac, while you talking, I just want to say Maxine says she said 20 orgasms in one
Yes.
session. Dear Lord. Maxine said, "Dear Lord," and so Gorilla said, "Go ahead, Doc." And then he was like, "Good topic, Christine." And by the way, that's a guy. Gorilla is a guy. So thank you guys for that.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was the rapper Glorilla. I say, well,
I know, right? You was like,
I was like, come on, okay. Tomorrow.
I'm
but
gonna tell you right now.
Historical.
You said 20. We all on 20 orgasms still.
I love it. I love how we skip through it and we say, well, how did we get to that 20? So
let's get to the 20. Let's get to that blueprint. I'm taking notes, so go.
Yeah. So when we think about physical training, right? You start out with a certain amount of reps. The stronger you get, the more practice you have, the more reps you can do, or the heavier the weight can be. And that goes for everything that you study. Things turn into muscle memory. It becomes a habit. So if you make it a point to connect with yourself and part of your morning work is meditation and then masturbation, you have now tapped into how you orgasm. So you know exactly what your body will do, how your body will feel. So now, like Rumel said, the G-spot is cool, but when you get to know yourself and then you can introduce yourself to a partner, you can kiss yourself into an orgasm. You can get your nipples sucked to the point of an orgasm. You can literally sit in someone's arms. And I mean, I know in elementary school, you would call it dry humping, but try it as an adult. You can come like that too. So if you start in the morning with yourself, and let's just say that's your first two, you go into your day not wanting to slap anybody and you haven't had coffee yet.
Okay, so Dr. Mike, I got to ask you a question. So, I think I'm not unlike any other woman.
Right.
So in church, they were saying if I touch myself, that was blasphemy. It was wrong, for me to be filling it up. So I never did a fill up. I didn't do a fill up. I didn't do no discovery.
And that is exactly why we are in some instances uncomfortable getting nude in medical facilities. We can't take our clothes off and examine ourselves to tell a medical practitioner that that's been growing there since March because you haven't looked. So the idea that the church, and I'm going to say the Black church, encouraged this, that's for a completely different podcast. But we know that we have to trust the author to believe the text.
Okay.
And You know what I mean? So going into a church, you have to understand what the bottom line of that particular religion is. And if they don't necessarily want you to run the church and only want you to be the choir director and the usher, they definitely
Right.
don't want you talking about multiple orgasms and like freeing yourself. That's not a part of the brand.
And you know what, you're right, because and I'm very grateful, because I grew up my mother was a PK kid, my grandfather was a minister, so therefore
Right.
it was just, we was in the church from the time I
Yeah.
came out the womb, we was in it. And so in my mind, I'm just on that path, right, of
Yeah.
thinking that way. So that's why I brought that boy home, Dr. Mack, after in 21, I didn't gave him myself. I bring
And
him
it's
home.
not you. It's not just you.
Right. And I was kind of upset that I didn't get a ring out of it. I was thinking that's what I was told. You giving it up and everything, you together. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying, women, the real conversation is this. We're all taught differently, but the bottom line I want us to get to is, I told somebody, if you weren't happy sexually in your 30s and you're not 50, and you said, well, why do I have 30 pounds on me? Because each of those years you didn't added 10 pounds of frustration. It's a release. So what people don't understand is this one thing. So, Doctor, I need you to explain to the people this part. So
You talking about
did
this
you know
obesity
that the
part.
endorphins our body experiences during an orgasm are similar to those when you work out?
It
It's a
absolutely is
release.
directly connected.
Exactly. And people don't understand. So as Black women, I'm going to do real talking about to talk about y'all, because I'm talking about myself. We are not number one in the gym. We ain't number one in the gym. We ain't number one on the workout. When I'm in the marathons, and Sheila just ran a marathon, I'm quite sure Sheila was one of maybe 100 out of 1,000 Black women out there in the marathon. What I'm saying, ladies, if you are single in your 30s, single in your 40s, single in your 50s, or you're married or whatever, but you haven't had an orgasm, you wonder why you gaining weight. It's them 10 pounds every year that you, for that decade, it's the 10 pounds for that decade that you carrying. So what I'm gonna say to you is, I'm not saying go out and wild out. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're married, sit down and discover yourself and talk to your husband about the discovery options like Ramel and her husband did. You know, Dr. Mack said, look, I got in trouble when I was young for doing my own discovery. So if you that woman, do your own discovery. We're gonna keep it real. Everybody has toys, but find out what it is. I didn't know, and this is the truth. Mathematical equations do it for me. You ain't even got to touch me. You just throw out some equations on me. Now, brothers, don't be walking up to me. Come on.
You might be joking, but mind sex is foreplay.
Oh no, that's for real. That's my real thing.
Good God, if you could tap into
like this.
somebody's thing,
I had
foreplay.
that to
I mean,
me.
I'm loving humor. I'm like
Humor, music.
Yeah.
humor,
For
music.
me, it's food. Feed me.
Come on.
Now, look, Dr. Mack, I just want to say, I wasn't on your social media, but I was on your social media. Your husband is adorable. I
Thank
just
you.
want to say, Mr. Mack is adorable. I just want to throw that out there to everybody. So listen, we got to go to a quick commercial break. And y'all know I have to break up the conversation. When we get back, folks, we are really going to focus on how do we focus on having emotional stability as women as we go through this transition. And what we're going to talk about is, as a young woman, you go through that transition of being a woman, but once you reach a certain age, you're transitioning out. And that's another transition. So while the 50 is your heightened space of having sex, because in 50, we just turn it up when we should have been turning it up in our 20s, maybe, but it turns it up. But the thing is, your husband is turning it down, or your person you with is turning it. Men are going down while we going up. It's lopsided. But listen, we're going to talk about that, because what happens is the number of women who are having heart attacks is increasing in African-American women.
Yeah.
And we got to understand, we got to start talking about how what we do intimately impacts what we do socially and who we are. So when we get back, we're going to get down to this emotional stability. Dr. Mack is bringing it. Honey, all I got to say is, them doctorates, honey, y'all be over there doing it. Ramel, we're going to talk about your last podcast, how y'all talked about orgasms. That's the real truth. That's coming out, Ramel. Don't be fooling, Ramel. Don't think I forgot about what you said. We'll be right back, honey, after these messages. Keep it real.
I give myself the pressure. I don't know what to do with this. Should I let him go? I don't know what to do with this. Should I let him go? I fall for his eyes when he's staring into mine. Know he's bad for me. So what's standing in my way? And he's out of my league. I feel insecure, but I hope this is real, yeah. He doesn't mind at all. He want my juice like a. He does whatever while he feels for nobody but himself, no, yeah. He doesn't mind at all. He want my juice like a. He does whatever while he feels for nobody but himself, no, yeah. So I pull myself together to not give myself the pressure. I don't know what to do with this. Should I let him go? I don't know what to do with this.
Hey guys, welcome back to Real Talk with the Ladies. All commercials and everything you see are created by the PICF Inc. company. And guess what? I'm the CEO. But we do those to make sure that all of our brands are promoted separately. Don't forget to watch us tomorrow night. That's Reverend Galen McDowell, when he talks about the metaphysics behind relationships. And you know we got Real Talk with the Men on Thursday, and they give us the real talk, honey. They talking about plastic surgery because we all running out to fix something, and they gonna tell you the truth. So ladies, before you go out and do something drastic, you need to know what they really want. That's all I gotta say. So listen, back to this hot topic. So we got some folks that then chimed in. Go really, you got a lot of messages you leaving out here. Okay, he said, and always admire and adore the authenticity of the 5F's conversation. Thank you so much. Go really, they thought she was a rapper though. All right, Guru 100. All right, Guru. She said, not all men are going down. Talk with us, talk with your significant other. Okay, that's a conversation we're going to talk about in a few minutes about, and by the way, it's going to be a part 1 and part 2. So Guru, you hitting on our part 2. This is we're on part 2. We're gonna talk about the men, but we're gonna have a man on. You Guru, really? This you all up in the
going down. She was like, she want an orgasm from oral sex. She wants to know what the problem is.
She said what the problem is. So we're gonna have a man on. She said always a solution to dissatisfaction.
Unless they don't know what they're doing.
Guru, thank you so much. And let me tell you something. This Maisha Morris, honey, you are absolutely adorable. I love your picture. She said it's nice to explore with a husband, but what's the option for singles? Let me tell you, that's what we're about to talk about. Mm-hmm. So, ladies, this is where it get down to it. We got to. Didn't I tell you I was going to be a part 1 and part 2? One, everyone who's watching us for the first time, thank you for all your support and tuning in. I hope this message is beneficial to you. But this is what we get ready to talk about. Can you explain how women's emotional stability is directly related to her sexuality? Ooh. Because I need us to understand there's a tie-in. And then, by the way, we're going to hit what's coming up next in part 2. But we're going to talk about that Guru, that oral sex. We're going to get to that in a minute. Because Guru said, I just need to know this because this is what it's about right now. So, real talk on this. So, Ramel, I'm going to you because you do girlfriend talk, you and your girlfriend on your podcast. Mm-hmm. When you guys talked about orgasms and where women were with managing it themselves or with a spouse, what did that look like and how did that relate to a woman's emotional stability?
Well, I think one of the things that came out when we were talking about orgasms is really women, we need to feel comfortable with where we are, like, and I mean like really comfortable with the person that we're with, to the point where they feel like they can let go. One of the things that I remember we talked about in our last episode about that is that a lot of women still are afraid, like Dr. Mack talked about, is still afraid to actually see themselves naked. They're still afraid to allow their partner, whether they're married or not, see themselves naked. There's still married people out here having sex in the dark.
In the dark?
In the dark.
I'm a visual person. I need to see what's happening. I need to turn on the lights.
I think there's a lot of insecurity that's really
Really?
happening that's been bred from we talked about it kind of briefly talking about the relationship with
Right.
the church, but this whole good girl syndrome of feeling like I have to be this good girl until I get married. But then once I get to being married, how do I be this sexual being that my husband or my partner wants me to be? And how do I get like it feels like there's almost a separation between I am someone's prize opposed to me enjoying sex myself.
Wow.
You
You're
know
for
what I
their
mean?
use.
Say it again.
You're for their use.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
And
Oh, Dr. Mac, you hit it. I think a lot of women do feel that they're for the use of the person they're with, but
Yeah.
not for themselves.
But breaking news, their mothers teach them that.
I
You know,
agree.
I
I
thought
agree.
for years I thought that was happening until I did my own discovery zone on it. But the thing is, Precious and I talk, and this is for real. I think me and Precious was late on the bloomings. We was late on the bloomings. And we're single and both of y'all married. So we listening to y'all.
Yeah, but I want Ramel to finish though, because you were getting somewhere.
Yeah, go ahead, Ramel.
I just what I feel like is that women, we get caught up in ourselves. We're not feeling free enough to explore ourselves with another partner or without a partner, right? We're told it's
Wow.
bad. We're told that that's like hoish behavior. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it's interesting. Like if I think that I read something today that said that when women take cannabis in whatever form, they are experiencing orgasms at an accelerated rate,
It's
right?
a fact. Lived
Yes.
experience.
Live right. So, I think it's because we get so caught up in our day, in what's going on. It's
Right.
my boob over here. I mean, like, oh, how do I look to my person? I
Right.
think we just internalize so much, and it makes us hard. Makes it hard for us to truly express ourselves
Yeah.
and take what is being take what is ours during this experience together, right? We're with somebody else in a partnership, and it's an opportunity to take and give, right?
Yeah.
And we are givers.
Yeah.
So many of us are not takers.
And that's
so
in every aspect usually of a Black woman's experience.
exactly.
And it does not skip sex.
Yeah. And so it's actually just right in line, like you said, with
Mhm.
what we do.
Yeah, you come
Yeah.
later, literally.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
think in every aspect of our life we do that because we have husbands and we go from husbands to being mothers, then we go from being mothers to being a caregiver either to a parent or somebody else, and then we just by the time we get to the red head table, when I was talking to the ladies, you 50 years in, and she like, I still haven't had an orgasm, but I'm still giving him relations. She called it relations every morning.
Because I mean,
love
there's
that.
no to go that long with no satisfaction. And then these young people come out with these songs, or your granddaughter is turning around telling you, like, no, grandma, I've been coming. Those conversations should happen, but
Right.
they're not. But I think that understanding that having an orgasm isn't something that's taught, because that's ultimate self-care. And
Wow.
we don't train our daughters to put self-care or self-preservation first. We teach them how to be multitaskers so they can take care of everybody else.
Everybody else.
And I'm
So-
with Ramel. If you add marijuana plus masturbation and meditation, I promise you could take over the world every day.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny that you said that. So I don't smoke or drink, but I do remember a time when I was a severe alcoholic.
Mhm.
I drank one out of grief, and I drank to be numb. And I
Okay.
remember there were a couple of incidents where I was being into it, because my brain is all over the place. It's like,
Right.
it might be too big. Oh, he might want this, da, da, da. And all of that's going on all at the same time. So I
Yeah.
can't fully enjoy this because I'm thinking I'm supposed to look like somebody else. And You know, I'm not thinking, oh, is it good for me? I'm not even thinking that. I want to be numb. So
Yeah.
none of that is happening in my mind. And I look back and cringe like,
And
I
your
don't- none of-
experience is so common, I think,
Yeah.
which is why we're finally having the cannabis connection conversation, because not to promote anything. I don't own a dispensary yet, but something that grows from the earth that can rid you of your own internal anxieties, which is basically telling you to stop thinking so damn much,
Right.
stop overthinking, because the reality about a partner, and I would never attempt to speak for men, just men that I've had the pleasure. If it's you, they're good with all of your stuff,
Right.
your marks, your dents, your rolls. And I think that, Christine, when you have that plastic surgery talk, those men are going to tell you just how much they did all your natural stuff.
And just to let you know, every guy that's on the podcast is really good friends of mine. We've had that talk.
Yeah.
And they say it all the time. But the thing is, that's $1 billion industry. And I keep asking myself, what are women fixing themselves for? If your public is saying no. And I think it's across too. We're going to talk about what social media is promoting versus what the reality of it is. Because it makes you think that everybody wants this petite
Yeah.
person, that Kim Kardashian body, and they don't all want that. They don't want that kind of mess. But let me tell you something. Now, Guru, I'm not fooling with you. I know you probably put in a comment in. Guru say, look, I need to know what's happening. And then we got Maisha who chimed in. She says a single person.
Miyoshi. I think it's Miyoshi.
Miyoshi, she say, and Meek Mind said, a weed is better than Viagra. Okay.
You know what?
I don't know what to say to you, but
Precious,
okay.
I'm going to have to mail you some edibles.
Honey,
When-
I think we are. So the thing is, Miyashi say, but what's the option for the single people? So before we go, I want to answer that question for you, Miyashi, because I'm single, and Dr. Mack, you and Rumel put your little spin on it. Now I'm going to be honest with you all. I'm not the person who uses toys. I'm not big on that. I just don't, and it's the reason why I don't. I'm the kind of person. I think I discovered earlier on, with my experience, what it was that made me work. But the thing is, I know that the man can't keep up with that bunny or whatever I'm using, that Energizer bunny. He can't keep up with that. So I don't want to condition my body to be all up in that mix, because mentally I can make myself have an orgasm.
Those are so much fun.
They are. I can go to a space when I can just do a flashback, and it's like,
that is the
I'm
ultimate
feeling it.
connection with yourself, ain't it, Rumel?
Exactly.
Mhm.
So I'm connected. So, Ramel, so what's your thing on that? Because I'm just as a single woman. So I'm gonna tell you, now use a toy. We none of us own a dispensary. I say get some edibles if you need them. Honey, put on some Luther. Let me tell you what you want. I mean, do what you got to do. But folks, let me tell you something. Do what you got to do, because the reason why I'm always so even-tempered is because of that. I can mentally take myself somewhere and I don't have to be with nobody. But trust and believe, when I'm with somebody, I'm going there. Now I don't know about 20. I done made it to 5. You done got me on a 20. I'm trying to
Listen, Christine, keep going. Start early.
I think I maxed out at 9. That was pushing it. I was tired.
Take a nap. Wake up.
No, stop.
What you say? I'm just maxed out at 9. But what I'm saying is, folks, we got to make sure emotionally, and that's one of the things. And we're going to have a man, or we're going to do a part 2 of this, because we're going to talk about how that's related to how we interact with them. But it leads to a question that Guru said. Guru said, he ain't trying to go down there and make that magic happen for me. And that's real talk. Some people won't, but if that's what you like, we got to figure that out. Miyashi, she said toys did not take away my ability to orgasm with a man. And that's true for some women, it wouldn't. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I become the queen of my thrones, I don't know what to tell you. I'll be like, well, do I really need you right now? Because I can get this over with in about 10, 20 minutes though.
But what I love about what you're saying, Christine, is that I have 17 and 18-year-old girls saying the same thing. And that means they grabbing their power real quick.
But
knowing how to satisfy yourself, and we say this to the girls, it's what helps you make rational decisions.
Right.
Because if you've ever been high off of wanting sex or wanting intimacy, you can answer a text that you don't want to answer, or you can make a stop by somebody's place after you went to that party, that if you could just come right quick in the car,
You can think.
you will pass by their house and go to sleep because you
Go
can
to
think.
sleep.
So it's like, if we have that power, and I talk about this in my book, if we give them that tool early, we don't have to really have a virginity speech because they control it.
They control it.
Period. But I do have an answer for that singles question. Even
Okay, so let me tell you something, honey. You're right. Ladies, if you want to use a toy, I don't have no toys to promote on 5F's to Love. That's not in our brand. But I'm saying, do what you got to do. I'm going to be honest with you. It's an embarrassing moment. And I hope my son's friends watch. They talk about me. But I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, and she was telling me, because her and her husband were having problems. And she said, yeah, somebody told me to get the rose. And here go me. What's the rose? What is it? Here go my son. Mama, I thought you was up on stuff. You don't know about the rose? I said, what you know about the rose? This is what he told me. It's all over Instagram.
It's everywhere.
Do you know my child, who is 20 years old, was telling me about the rose? And here he go. You're not even up on it, Mom.
He called you out. Shout out to your son.
Shout out to the baby. But the thing is, here go Maxine. Maxine gonna throw in a yes. You know, honey, let me tell you something.
My cousin just told me about that. He said, Precious, because you're working hard. He said, I know you're very frustrated. And he said, your mind is going back to someone in the past. So you know that chapter's over. That's done. That's never going to happen. So I'll, watch porn. He said, it ain't going.
I think porn is good. Porn is good. The rose is good. However, you can mentally stimulate yourself to get you where you're supposed to go. To Miyoshi's single question, and Ramil, I would love for you to chime in on this. I'm an advocate of organic experiences. Okay. And when you decide to let go of the rhetoric of your culture, your brand, your job, your ex, your religion, your mama, and you say, what is the shit that I actually like when I'm not trying to code switch for somebody else? When you meet that woman, you can go outside and be okay to organic experiences just for that experience. Going into situations every single time, hoping for marriage, commitment, kids, it is literally like going to maybe a buffet full already.
Wow.
How do you go into an experience and learn about an individual, catch a vibe, as we always say, and you're going in with the script? He's supposed to say this, and I'm supposed to say that. He's supposed to do this, and then I'm going to do that. I'm going to give you what my grandmother and even my mother gave me. They say, don't go out the house looking crazy because you don't know where your day will go. Mm-hmm. And you go outside, you put your earrings on, you put your face on, you run to a grocery store in Chicago that we call Jewels with an S. And you run into a guy from high school. He done got fine as hell. He says, oh my God, well, how you been doing? And you know, blah, blah, blah. You looking at me, he looking at you. Okay. And then from there, he says, you know what? I got tickets to such and such. Do you want to go with me? I was going from here to there. You say, if you cut all the shit, yes. You go to that event, you end up eating good, playing cards, running into some other people you know, you're laughing, you're feeling good. You really didn't have nothing to do that day with the groceries you were going to get. And his friend says, well, I got tickets to a concert after this. You want to go? You left the house dressed, so you okay to go to all this stuff. Now you at a concert, it's good food, he's fun or she's fun, and you drinking. It's your favorite artist. You didn't even know you was going to end up in them good seats that night, and your day has been organic. What if the exact same feeling from the Jewels aisle to the card party to the concert can translate into an amazing sexual experience, and it just be that?
Wow.
You can start to outthink what is organically coming your way. And because somebody told you can't get a husband for having sex on the first night, I mean, ain't no data to back that. I know a lot of one night stand wives. But beyond that, you remove every single opportunity to just flow. There's no guarantee that it's going to turn out into whatever. But oh my God, what about that memory? What about how you got to know yourself? Because that man did that thing. Mm-hmm. Now imagine you may wake up the next day like, yeah, this is only going to be that.
You know what? I love that. Oh my gosh.
I needed y'all tonight. Wow.
What you saying? Because look, we over, but y'all can keep talking. I'm gonna close it out after y'all finish. I'm okay because I said it was gonna be a part 2. I already didn't say that. Okay, we're both going with it.
Well, I will say, like, for me, because I got together with my guy so early in life, I didn't do a lot of dating, right? But I will say one of the things that I think is a mistake for us that are in a relationship, is that we use sex as a tool to control our husbands and not actually, well, you're not getting
No, you
Say
hitting up on
that.
part 2. That's part 2, honey.
Whoa.
That's a whole conversation, Ramel, right there.
Okay, I'll leave it there. I'll just leave it there. But
No, man, don't leave it there
That's
because
a part.
part 2 is going to be the consequence of weaponizing your vagina.
Come on.
that's
Yes.
exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And I'll tell you, I will say this. I won't go into the depth of that, but I learned very early that I punish myself. I don't punish my husband because he'll get over it. He'll come around. He's gonna, say he's sorry or whatever. But
Right.
I'm the one. I don't have the multiple orgasms. Why am I punishing myself?
Right.
I'm not doing that. So I just kind of learned to, like, go with the flow. Like, we can be angry tomorrow, but
And we
today, if we want to do it, let's do it. Let's get it. And
even while you angry, that's the other thing. Even while you angry, just
Yeah,
go.
but
Right.
Rumel enjoys sex and enjoys being a helpmate, not a warden in our household.
Yes.
And if you weaponize it, you don't.
What you said again? She's a helpmate and not what?
She's a helpmate, not a warden.
Okay, you know what? I love it. Now, Miyashi, I don't want you to think we miss your thing. She said yes, be open. Chastity said looking forward to part 2. Honey, we're gonna bring the part 2. We're gonna bring it.
I'm to the front line.
Maxine, you better be coming on next week with us because Maxine, I ain't gonna put her business in the street, but let me just say this. Maxine, honey, she in her 50s dating somebody in their 40s. You better talk to somebody.
Maybe because she's staying healthy enough.
Come on, because she gonna bring some noise with that because I love it. Now go, really, we appreciate your support. He says, I love this. Roz, where you been at dinner? Girl, don't be showing up right now.
Roz,
I like how she came through. If you
Roz
don't
said,
give it up,
you're
gonna find someone, baby. 2 and 2 is 4 every day.
She said real talk, whether you give it up or not a man. Right. She said, even when you're doing it, everything. See, that's the thing. So, Roz, you better go on with it. And I was hoping Sheila would chime in. Y'all, my working ladies, honey. But let me tell you something, Roz, thank you so much, honey. I know she was out having dinner. She's still celebrating her 60th. Folks, if you like the conversation, please like, follow, and share us. We're going to continue this conversation next week with the ladies. Maxine, don't act like this. You coming on. I'm about to send you a text right now because I know who you are, Maxine. I'm about to text you right now. Maxine coming on next week because we got to talk about this. We're going to talk about once you've identified that journey of who you are, then you need to realize how that works in a relationship, whether you're single or you're married. And to Ramel's thing, we're going to talk about the holding of the hostage. The holding of the hostage is called, as some of my viewers don't like when I say what it is, but it's a vagina. When you hold that hostage vagina, just hostage to everybody. If you was really where it need to be, you wouldn't be holding it hostage. Roz, don't shout out. Don't be talking about no high pressure.
And you wouldn't be whispering vagina if you was happy about having her.
That's right, because the vagina monologues was really good. I went to go see it 3 times. I was really impressed.
Well,
Roz, Precious, you see Roz did a shout out to you.
I told you the face don't decline. Yes, no cause.
All I gotta say, Roz, this is you late, but we talking to you still though. You still with us. But girl, listen, next week I'm not fooling with y'all. Okay, I'm coming with a full. with a full glass of wine
I
because
need
y'all
y'all to all show up next week because you thought this was something. I know it's gonna be fire. I feel like I'm sitting at the foot of sages, like, go ahead. I feel like I'm at the Museum of Natural History, and there's this part where this I don't know it's this guy, and he's bringing me dreams. I'm like, yo, for real though. I feel like I'm 16, and my grandma should have been saying this to me because I'm like, really though. So when I go off to college, you ain't gonna say, nah, listen, we can talk, but I ain't gonna, keep it real, grandma. Let's get it.
Precious. The
And
good
that's a
news
great
is you can
conversation.
do whatever you want to do.
And so next week, ladies, we're going to really dive in deep around how you can start testing your own body parts, your ears, your lips, your neck, your shoulders, the palm of your hand. There are certain things that you didn't realize that does it for you because you haven't tested it.
Right.
You need to test it for
Man,
yourself.
I'm
We're going to
excited
talk about that because we need to really discuss that. And the thing is, so she said women need to take a page out of a man's book. Yeah, the page out of the book is, folks, you need to kind of see what makes you happy. Men figured out earlier on in life.
You talked about double standards, and that's another show. They get their permission slips signed earlier.
They get a permission slip.
So
Honey,
we got a bunch of blank pages in the book where they got
do.
work. So
It's a lot of blank pages in our book. So, folks, before we go tonight, I just want to make it clear. I love everybody's support. Thank you so much for joining us. Because of what we do, I want to make sure, and again, I want to close on a couple good notes. Folks, if you have not seen it, Toy is having an event November 5th. That is this weekend. I'm going to play that commercial because I want to make sure you guys sign up. Toy, I really appreciate you coming on. She's one of the Real Talk ladies, but she has this amazing platform called The Satisfied Wife. And it's the Satisfied Wife Club. So, folks, listen, I want to be clear. All the ladies who come on, we just doing real talk. And I hope you guys appreciate it. We'll see you here next week when we carry on part 2 of the G-Spot. Do you know? And how do you tell somebody nicely that they're not hitting it? That's a whole conversation.
no, thank you.
Ariana Grande, thank you.
I'll see you guys next week.
No,
Thank
please.
you, ladies. You know what? I can't thank you. I'll see you guys next week. Make sure you like, share, and follow us. And make sure people stay tuned next week. See you guys next week, ladies.
We know what you made of. I do better offline, yeah. I've been calling to a guy. I'm in tune with the signs. I'm just trying to let go. I'm just trying to be me. I'm just trying to do fine. Moon landed with the elevation. Armstrong with the levitation. My third eye needed calibration. That was heat rock when I notated. I've been going crazy. Stone face when I kill beat. Even no trace on location. Premeditated. Ayy.